They tied me up and threw me in a box, my hands and legs bound with rope and my nose taped shut. A tube placed into my gaping, screaming mouth, blowing oxygen in order for me to live. I ask you now, what kind of living is that? I guess the doctors figured they were saving my life. I guess my parents believed them. That's their justification to the action taken. But really, who knows what could have been? Perhaps I would have survived anyway. Perhaps, if I didn't, I was not meant to walk this world. Perhaps I am a medical experiment like a Pavlov dog, being observed over the years to mark my attitudes and tendencies. Either way, facts are that this is how I came into being, tied down, bound, and screaming against the very breath meant to let me live. Maybe that can help explain why, today, I tend to see boxes, metaphorically, everywhere, witnessing everything through a lens of understanding that someone is just about to enter or exit one. More fascinating still, just like the doctors, everywhere, everyone seems to have certain knowledge that one box is better or worse than the other. Let me ask you again, what kind of life is this? She ordered a martini, heavy on the gin, light on the vermouth, with a couple of rocks and a couple of olives. She sipped it down like a professional. Ruby red lips and sparkling blue eyes, this platinum blonde Slav was a sweet find. What was she doing sitting with a guy like me? I had to wonder. A gal like that could have her pick, and it seems I am her pick. I don't really blame her. I got that way about me, the one that attracts beauty. Some say there's no way to describe me, as I don't fit in any category at all. The only thing I know is I am a man in the real sense, a dude who can stand and piss on the tree at the side of a road without really any concern. And she is a woman wholly, a goddess of virtue and morality, and I love her. It is midnight, and we are in a lounge in the desert at a 5-star resort in Hurghada. We flew in the other day to take a break from it all the cold and ice and clothes. I've been here before to this resort, more than a decade before. At that time, I still had a family. That was a good time, I recalled. Too bad they aren't here now. It's not uncommon, I find, that people who are close to me leave. In fact, on several occasions throughout the years, many people who were friends at one time came for a visit, promising to stay, but ended up leaving all the same. Some invite me to leave with them, pointing out the horrors of the way of life I chose. They tell me to return back to where I'm from. What do they know? How do they know where I am from? They want me back in the box, I figure, and I always tell them to fuck off, either with a smile on my face or even adamantly refusing. One dude went so far as to tell me, as he was leaving, that a team of wild oxen with ropes tied to his balls wouldn't be able to drag him back here for another visit. I waved goodbye. I guess they were all trying to tell me something I wasn't able to hear, because all I ever managed to hear from them was fear. In my book, they were all scared of a little bit of fight, all so used to the familiar creature comforts of home. And the way I see it, if they don't know a life without comfort, they have no grasp of freedom. I'm with Dostoevsky that way, with his suffering bit, as I can see it in a people of this place. Even though life can be brutal, maybe it should be, because then the people around you, for the most part, become more authentic. Yulia knows this too. I have experienced much brutality in Russia. Today the drones continue to hover overhead, threatening all movements. It is similar to the Chechen War, with bombs exploding in theaters, metros, and schools. I have experienced the Kosovo Wars, and even the terrorists' plot that exploded tourist planes flying in and out from resorts, not unlike the one we are at now. Through it all, I have been exposed to truth in a hard way. Only chance determines what happens to our physical form, and only chance leads us to where our body can take us. Whether we continue to breathe or not, without even knowing how much time we have left, it is a person's choice to use it however he feels he should. A body is meant to live until it dies, and with this truth, I could say that I like it here. I like all the experiences I have had and am having. I like the blood on the streets and the refusal to stand down or listen to conventional authority. Authority here stems from one's commitment to a superior justice, one that can be adhered to with common sense and compassion. Individual circumstance can dictate and bend any man-made law, especially when the people and the authority stand together with a mutual understanding. This we are currently witnessing now in the case of the Donbass. I love this brotherhood and the fight inside. I feel it and sense it is something primal. Those that come to visit and decide to stay should understand this, while those who cannot grasp this well, they should go. I wave goodbye to them all, wish them well. Their half understanding that fake comforts have purposefully blinded their eyes, which can no longer witness the injustice all around them. I tell them to absolutely go and pretend their comfortable beds will shield them from those very people who make the laws which encourage them to feel safe. Those people that tell them even when it is time to sleep. If the fear is this deep, unable to stand up to the devil, with fists I mean, they should absolutely go and join him. To hell with them all. Go enjoy it. I wish you all the best. I'm fine here with Yulia. Needless to say, I don't have many friends there no more. I cannot help speaking my mind, and I feel that guarded sense of speaking back west is another box. I sense that box they've placed themselves in is now even more grotesque. Growing every day, especially built with invisible ropes and gags with generations of specialized psychology programmed and passed down by the masters of hundreds of years. The precedent set to divide and conquer, to rule. It is not at all surprising how rules there are no longer questioned or even recognized anymore. Ultimately, the comforts win out, and their fight is over, the soul harnessed firmly in place. Radix malorum est cupiditas. We all die, though some do it slower and less gracefully. Over many generations, decomposing souls can fry in a putrid dish spewing petrified pus, if one uses his imagination. There are places where people burn over a longer stretch of time without realizing any meaning to life or living anymore. Depressions and drug abuse dulls all pain, and we can see consequences of this currently with the fentanyl crisis. But what was going on generations before, when the great-grandparents of these fellows experienced the Great War? Which side were they on, and what are the consequences of a great-grandparent's actions? Perhaps the postman is knocking twice. The generations responsible for the Great Patriotic War, in particular the horrors of Stalingrad, the 900-day siege in St. Petersburg, and even the most brutal of Jewish holocausts, to name a few. Who was born out of that aftermath, and to whom? Where are the victims now? And did the winner perhaps ultimately become the loser? Those born of Nazis responsible, the Finns and Germans, Austrians and beyond, must live with the knowledge their forefathers did that. They must see it as a horror at minimum, and plead to any god for forgiveness. It seems, though, most have found some sort of justification for their grandfathers' sins, even amidst the full knowledge of those most cowardly acts against humanity. How is it a life to justify responsibility of a genocide of a certain people or a starving of them on purpose from afar in order to eat well themselves? Those who survived inside, the proverbial victim, I would argue, are doing better now. They have a deeper meaning to survival and a deeper meaning to the spirit of life. By doing whatever was necessary to live, unbeknownst to the Nazi, an inadvertent steel became forged, harder and sharper than imagined. It can be said that this virile way of living can still be sensed in Russia today, in all the population here. Even though I was not born here, not even my grandparents, I can witness it and appreciate it. Yulia was born here, though, in St. Petersburg actually, and she openly tells me the hell her grandparents lived through, how eating frozen dead animals was a norm, and sharing a piece of bread with strangers was common. As she explains it to me, it is as if she is reliving it with them. She does not forget, and therein lies the rub. She does not have to, nor want to, whereas the Nazi would probably feel the exact opposite. And so I sit beside this beauty, enjoying her company, as well as the cocktails and conversation, connected as though we know each other forever. In some sense, we both understand that today is the best day ever. It is late, so we head back to our room and shower before bed. She is raw in her form and an awesome lover. No inhibitions and pure sex. We mate like monkeys, and finally, exhausted, we sleep. The ground was frozen, and it was difficult to walk at regular speed. Everyone was slipping and sliding, trying to keep pace with the crowd heading to the metro to get to work. Inside, the bustling crowd bunched together, full of bastards and bitches bellowing, similar to bleats of goats merging into sound mantras, eager to fight an eagle was seen perched on a strange branch below. What does this mean, he wondered as he wiped off the snot that stuck to his chin. Ew, that's disgusting, he heard a gorgeous brunette descendant of the Mongol mutter beside him. What's up? How could he know? It seems the sickness is spreading. I awake with a start, breathing heavily and wet with sweat. Beside me, Yulia is sound asleep, peacefully sprawled out on her back without a care in the world. I roll off the side of the bed and head to the balcony for a cigarette. I see the stars and smell the sea. It is a sight to behold, and I wonder if I am still somewhat dreaming, as I think I hear drones far off somewhere. That metro, though, in my dream was real enough. I rode it thousands of times with its mass crowds heading to and from work in a city every day. Like a machine, the speed at which Moscow functions is impossible to slow. If you don't run with the crowd, you will be stomped, and nobody will help you or even look back to see if you are well. You either survive or get stomped. Like a jungle, it is often referred, where only the strong survive. I understood that part of the dream well enough, but what is up with that eagle? I finish my cigarette and try to rest, but rest does not come. I toss and turn for a bit and finally decide 5 a.m. is close enough to begin the day. I think that time really does go by quite slowly. I recall that song, Time Goes By, So Slowly, So Slowly. Who sang it? I'm quite convinced it was a hit back in the heyday 80s, where a real-life self-proclaimed slut becomes the American pop queen. Funny, named after the Virgin Mary, the mother of a Christ risen in the form of a pop princess who swings her ass to make money with her very first hit like a virgin. Crazy, eh? A world-famous pop icon status. How's that not blasphemous? Is that the eagle in my vision spreading the poison? Maybe. Maybe it is an example of the continuous total degradation of a value system and a fundamental break with any sort of a deeper spiritual connection with the holy. I decide to sit cross-legged and try rest meditatively a little while longer. As soon as I close my eyes, another image comes, a vision of a blank space where Western Europe should be on the map. Interesting that, but more interesting is that I don't feel sad or feel anything at all. I think it is a battle between good and evil, and I am only a witness. I open my eyes and try to reflect. I definitely do feel a battle between good and evil is perpetually being waged. I question where on the spectrum lies the Western Europeans. I try to negotiate what positive value, if any, they have added to this evolution of human. It seems to me they are more on the side of blood-sucking humanity rather than giving blood. After all, what kind of cultural heritage have they passed on to us besides a bloody one? Worse still, I think maybe their imperialist colonial past may have even been more than blood-sucking, even perhaps soul-sucking. Probably the conversation with Yulia is still in my brain somewhere and infiltrating my deep psyche. I did have a few drinks last night, but nonetheless, I do make a mental note to be careful of the evil that men do, and I make a swift promise to guard against that effect upon my essence. I continue my meditation practice and try to concentrate on nothing. Having numbed my feet to sleep, it is time to stop the Sukhasana and I stretch out onto the floor. I roll over, do my push-ups, and go for a cold shower. Yulia is awake by now, and we have sex again. She is awesome. We clean up and head to breakfast. At this all-inclusive resort, we can eat for hours, but we limit our intake as we want some activity today. We're heading out to the desert to see the Bedouin. Inside the Jeep, I tell the driver to wait, as I wish to get a change of shoes from our room. I am convinced my Birkenstock aren't the best choice. I ask Yulia if she wishes to do the same, and she does not. I leave the Jeep and head to the room when I hear the boom. I don't know where it came from, but it sounded quite close. I run out to the Jeep and see that it is charred and burning. As night undoubtedly must follow day, it slowly dawns on me the next time I see Yulia will be inside a box. Not a metaphorical one, but a real one. I wonder if she will be lying there as peacefully, without a care in the world, as I remembered her just hours before. I decide if I get the chance, I'd like to kiss her again, one more time, to say goodbye.